You've probably experienced this. You get something like strep throat, the doctor gives you a prescription, and in just a few days, you're feeling better. It feels like magic, right? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that magic. We're talking about antibiotics, one of the single greatest discoveries in the history of medicine, and how they turn diseases that were once a death sentence into something we can just, well, fix. So yeah, how does that happen? How can one little pill take on and defeat a literal army of invading germs? That's what we're breaking down today. And let me tell you, this isn't just about medicine. It's a story about a microscopic war for survival. And antibiotics are our ultimate secret weapon. Okay, first things first. To understand the battle, we need to know our weapon. So what exactly is an antibiotic? Now this is the wild part. Antibiotics aren't something we just cooked up in a lab from scratch. As you can see from the definition, they're actually produced by other microorganisms, like fungi. They're literally biological weapons that microbes use to fight each other. We humans just got smart enough to see what was happening and harness that power for ourselves. And here is probably the most important thing to get straight, so listen up. Antibiotics are specialized assassins. They are designed to go after one thing and one thing only, bacteria. They are completely, totally useless against viruses. That's why your doctor won't give you an antibiotic for a cold or the flu. It's not because they're being mean, it's because it literally wouldn't do anything. It's the wrong tool for the job. All right, so now that we know what they are, let's get into their playbook. When antibiotics go to war against bacteria, they have two main strategies. It really comes down to this. Are they going for an all-out assault, or are they playing defense? Are they killers, or are they blockers? First, let's talk about the scope of their attack. On one hand, you have broad-spectrum antibiotics. Think of these as the carpet bomb. They're designed to take out a whole wide range of different bacteria. On the other hand, you've got narrow-spectrum antibiotics, like penicillin. These are more like a sniper rifle. They're precision engineered to take out one very specific kind of bacterial target. And then there's the method of attack. You've got the bactericidal drugs, big word, I know, but it just means bacteria killing. These are the SWAT team. They go in and kill the bacteria directly. Penicillin is a classic example. Then you have the bacteriostatic drugs. These guys are a little more subtle. They don't kill the bacteria outright. Instead, they just put up a roadblock, stopping the bacteria from growing and multiplying. This basically contains the threat and gives your own amazing immune system the time it needs to come in and clean up the mess. So how do they actually pull all this off on a microscopic level? Let's zoom in and check out their hit list, because attacking a single bacterium is no joke. You have to remember, it's like a tiny living fortress. So the most famous strategy is to go after the cell wall. Imagine a bacterium is like a little water balloon. To keep from popping, it builds this really strong, rigid wall around itself for protection. Well, what penicillin does is it comes in and sabotages the construction site. It literally blocks the tools, the enzymes, that the bacterium uses to build that wall. So the wall gets weaker and weaker, it gets leaky, and the pressure inside just builds and builds until, pop, the whole thing just bursts. Game over. But they're not a one-trick pony. Attacking the wall is just one move. Different antibiotics have different targets. Some of them poke holes in the cell's inner membrane, causing it to leak out all its important stuff. Others are like industrial saboteurs. They shut down the bacteria's protein factories so it can't build or repair itself. And some go right for the command center, messing with the DNA so the bacterium can't even make copies of itself. It is a full-on, multi-pronged attack. Okay, so this brings up a really important question, right? If these drugs are so good at killing cells, why don't they kill our cells? I mean, that seems like a pretty important feature to have. And the answer is just genius. It's a principle called selective toxicity. You can think of antibiotics as magic bullets. They are designed at a chemical level to hunt for targets that only exist in bacteria while completely ignoring our own cells. It's all about exploiting the key differences between them and us. And the number one biggest difference is right here. That thick, rigid outer wall we've been talking about, bacteria have it. Human cells, well, we just don't. We have a soft, flexible membrane, but not that big, tough wall. So when an antibiotic like penicillin shows up looking to smash that wall to pieces, it takes one look at our cells and just keeps on moving. There's nothing for it to attack. It's like sending a wrecking ball into an empty field. All right, let's bring all these ideas together and look at a case study of the big one, the most famous antibiotic of all time, penicillin. This entire revolution in medicine started back in 1928, and it was a total accident. Sir Alexander Fleming just happened to notice some mold growing in a petri dish was killing the bacteria around it. From that one little observation, this whole golden age of discovery kicked off. And it saved an unbelievable number of lives.
So, using all the terms we just learned, we can build a complete profile for penicillin. We know it's narrow spectrum, it's a specialist, we know it's bactericidal, it goes in for the kill, and we know its mechanism. It targets that all-important cell wall. See? It all clicks into place.
And this quote right here, it just perfectly captures that final, fatal moment for the bacterium. The antibiotic makes the wall weak. The pressure inside gets to be too much, the cell swells up, and it just ruptures. It's a pretty dramatic and very effective end for our tiny invader. And that brings us to one last really critical thought. These drugs are incredible. They are miracle drugs. But in this microscopic war that's been raging for decades, the enemy is learning. The bacteria are adapting. So what happens when they learn to fight back? What happens when they develop defenses against our best weapons? Well, that's the terrifying challenge of antibiotic resistance. And that's a story for another day.